done something wrong. Maybe they're resisting arrest, or, but you can't kill them for that.
Town councilors in Scarborough are calling on Maine's congressional delegation to take steps to close or move the ICE facility there. Councilors voted unanimously to pass the proclamation at last night's meeting. During public comment, most residents spoke against ICE's efforts, although some did support them. The resolution also asked the delegation to advocate for more transparency regarding federal immigration enforcement and calls to hold federal agents in Maine to certain standards. And we still have very few details about the ongoing investigation into the death of Johan Sebastián Durán Guerrero. He's the man shot and killed by an ICE agent earlier this month in Biddeford. Shortly after the shooting on July 13th, Maine's congressional delegation came out calling for independent and transparent investigations into what happened. We reached out to Homeland Security, ICE, the FBI, Biddeford Police, and the Maine AG's office. Most of the responses back directed us to other agencies, mostly to DHS and the Maine AG's office. On Sunday, Border Czar Tom Homan gave a glimpse at the investigation and agent protocol.
Per policy, they're usually put on administrative leave pending the investigation, pending sworn statements, internal affairs interviews, and the entire investigation. They usually will not be put back on duty until the investigation is over and either been cleared, or if they got problems, then they may not go back at all.
The Attorney General's office has confirmed to us tonight that it is still cooperating with the federal government in this investigation. The concert called We Cry Out is being held at Sacred Profane Brewery in Biddeford. Tickets are pay what you can. Proceeds support Guerrero's family and other families impacted by ICE. We'll have more from the concert tonight on News Center Maine at 11. OSHA is proposing nearly $800,000 in fines to Woodland Pulp after investigation found the mill exposed employees to serious health and safety risks. This comes just over 2 weeks after the U.S. Chemical Safety Board found that the mill failed to provide multiple safety measures for employees. 4 of the citations were for not providing workers with proper alarms or breathing devices. The other 8 were for a lack of employee training, failure to conduct medical evaluations, and neglecting to label chemicals or control chemical exposure risks. A CSB investigation found the leak occurred when chemicals mixed to create hydrogen sulfide, which is a toxic gas. The mill was in the process of temporarily shutting down at the time and had shut off its scrubber fan, a machine that sucks up chemicals. OSHA says it opened 2 separate investigations into the company this year, one back in January for the gas leak and another in March for a hydrogen peroxide spill. The agency has inspected Woodland Pulp 13 times since 2017, and the mill has received 14 total citations prior to the incidents. The gas leak over the winter exposed 12 employees to hydrogen sulfide, killing 20-year-old engineering student Casey Malcolm and 26-year-old engineer Alan Hornberger. The attorney representing both families in a wrongful death lawsuit tells us they're seeking justice for the young men.
Of the tens and thousands of inspections OSHA conducts annually, there are only a few hundred serious willful violations. The fact that 4 were issued for what happened at Woodland Pulp really demonstrates the culture of safety that was lacking at this plant.
A spokesperson for Woodland Pulp tells us the company is aware of the citations and is in the process of reviewing them. They declined to comment further. Woodland Pulp has 15 days to comply or appeal the OSHA fines. And moving on now, a man accused of assaulting a woman on Forest Avenue in Portland is now denying the allegations through his attorney. News Center Maine's Drew Peters has more on the defense's response, including why they say a polygraph test supports their client's claims of innocence.
But this was a young man who had just gotten off work and was running some errands that day.
Attorney Mike Whipple says his client, Theo Orestes, was out grabbing a bite to eat after his shift.
He had parked his car, got out of his car, and headed to the crosswalk.
When all of a sudden, Whipple says a woman confronted him.
And at that point, he's not really sure what's going on. She, of course, makes some allegations, and he went and got back in his car, basically to defuse the situation.
Allegations that Orestes had thrown a substance onto her leg.
And my instinct was to take my hand, wipe behind my leg, and then immediately realized that it was semen.
And he was shocked by the allegations. He denied the allegations.
When issued a court summons for assault by Portland police officers, Whipple says Orestes offered to provide any information they needed.
And he said, take my DNA. Take my fingerprints. I didn't do this.
Hoping to prove his innocence, Whipple says Orestes also underwent a polygraph test where he was asked whether or not he threw a substance at the alleged victim.
And the polygraph can tell if somehow in its formula, if somebody has a reaction to that would suggest deception, and he did not.
Whittle says this holds scientific weight, but the Department of Justice argues that's not always true. The department's criminal resource manual citing that polygraph results often aren't allowed into evidence because of the test's reliance on physical reactions that can be influenced.
And that's true. It's not admissible in a jury trial, but it is utilized to say, not only is my client declaring that they're innocent, but we have proof.
Regardless of the polygraph results, Whipple says the only way to truly determine innocence is to compare Orestes' DNA to any sample of the substance allegedly thrown onto the woman.
Because that's the only way to serve justice in this case.
In Portland, Drew Peters, News Center, Maine.